acting all high and mighty over a mere $28,000. Alton looked at me with a mocking face. "Parasitic old-timer, get out." Adeline revealed her true colors and stood up, pointing towards the entrance. Understood. I left the house, hiding my joy. At the entrance, I couldn't help but do a fist pump. I should have done this much earlier. As I left the luxury apartment and looked back, it appeared to me as nothing but a tall, gray prison. My name is Kristen, and I'm turning 59 this year. With 60 just around the corner, I've long passed the halfway point of my life. My husband, Alton, was a junior from my high school. Back in high school, we were in the same club and just casually talked. The reason we got close was when Alton, having gone on a date with a girl from his class, got a perm that turned out disastrously bad, and he was almost in tears. I helped him out. I loved fashion and had a keen interest in clothes and makeup. I took him to a beauty salon I knew to fix his hairstyle, and he was so satisfied with the result that he left with a smile, skipping towards his date. Alton had a girlfriend, so I didn't get too involved, and we naturally drifted apart when I graduated. After graduating from a cosmetology school in the city and working as a beautician for 5 years, Alton showed up at the salon without an appointment. A few days later, Alton and I happily reunited at a cafe after 7 years. "Alton, you went to college in Boston, right?" Alton, with a glowing face, replied, "Yeah. I got into college and came back to work at the county hall. There's a college reunion today." I felt intimidated by his proud face. "Kristen, do you have someone you're dating? If not, please go out with me." I was taken aback by his sudden proposal. "I don't have a girlfriend either. I've always thought you were cute." "Well, I don't have a boyfriend right now, so I guess going on a date is fine," I answered with a composed face, but I was actually very happy. After that, we went on several dates. As time passed, we started to casually call each other by our first names. "You know, I want to marry Kristen," Alton said with a serious face. "I'll work harder so I can afford a luxury apartment, and then, let's be together." I looked surprised, but inside, I was really happy. Alton hugged me. It hurt a little, but that made me happy, and I hugged him back with all my might. After that, I worked ferociously. I learned everything from scratch about the latest hairstyles and fashion trends, thanks to a stylist acquaintance of a colleague. Thanks to that, my appointments increased, and before I knew it, I was among the top 3 stylists in the salon. Furthermore, an actress who liked my work and had just made her break chose me as her hairstylist and makeup artist. Alton also led several projects to success, advanced smoothly in his career, and became a chief. Walking along our usual dating spot, the Riverside Walkway, Alton suddenly stopped, turned to me with a serious face, and said, "Isn't it about time we start living together in a luxury apartment?" I vaguely realized this was his proposal. "Yes, thank you. I'll live with you." I hugged Alton. I was happy. I thought I was the happiest person in the world. Looking back now, it was quite a farce. That's how I came to marry Alton. Though it was with regret, I left the salon, returned to my hometown, and started living with Alton in a luxury apartment we bought with a loan. Our only child with him was our son, Terrence. Since we couldn't have more children, I decided to throw myself into work. I started working at a beauty salon. Perhaps because of my work in Boston, my cutting skills were considered sophisticated, and I received a lot of requests. I showered Terrence with love, but also taught him the harsh realities of life. To Alton, I seemed like a strict mother without affection, and he compensated by spoiling him. "Listen, don't ever marry a woman who lacks affection like her." He said this loud enough for young Terrence to hear. "You're not good at studying, so don't make Terrence feel ashamed." Alton would always demean me as a woman who's bad at studying at every opportunity. Terrence went on to a university in Boston and landed a job at a major trading company there. I was really happy, but I felt lonely thinking we would be apart. Since Terrence was too busy to come home for Christmas, we decided to visit him in Boston once a year instead. After more than 5 visits, Terrence told us there was someone he wanted us to meet. At the restaurant, we met Dylan, Terrence's colleague who was 2 years younger. Dylan had a somewhat stern face, and I thought it might be difficult to get along with her, but I didn't show it. "I'm serious about her. I want to marry her." "I feel the same. Terrence graduated from a good university, and it matches well with the women's college I graduated from." "Oh, I see. I graduated from a university in Boston." Dylan turned to Alton with a pleased smile. "I heard you're very accomplished." "Well, not really, but she's not good at studying, you know." I slumped at Alton's words. Alton, enthusiastic, ordered drinks during the day, saying cheers and a toast in celebration. 3 years after Terrence and Dylan got married, Terrence formally asked us something. "Actually, we're thinking of living in a luxury apartment." "A luxury apartment, huh? That's quite lavish." "It's not really. There are affordable ones nowadays." "But, do you have that kind of spare money?" "It might be better to save more." "It's fine. The young couple wants to live there. Plus, they're both highly educated. It'll be all right." It always ended up being 3 against 1. I had no allies. "So, how about you, Dad, live with us too?" Alton's face lit up. "Is it okay to live together?" "Of course, it'll be more lively that way." I couldn't genuinely be happy because Dylan's smile seemed to have a hidden agenda. Terrence, with a serious face, looking a bit apologetic, broached the subject. "So, we're thinking of taking out a loan, but we'd like some help with that." Alton's face turned serious. "What do you mean?" Dylan suddenly became more reserved and began speaking to Alton in a flattering manner. "But it's nice to live together, isn't it? We'll pay for the other expenses." Alton's face softened. "Right, we could sell the luxury apartment we're living in now, use the money to pay off the loan, and I could retire instead of extending my employment and look for a job in Boston." Alton was already imagining living in Boston. It seemed like a strategic win for Dylan. No one considered my circumstances. It was as if I didn't exist. We said goodbye to our hometown and began our cohabitation in the luxury apartment. I was initially anxious, but it turned out to be relatively comfortable once I got used to it. Ignoring Alton lounging at home, I decided to work and reached out to acquaintances from my time in Boston, contacting former colleagues. To my surprise, one of them had started their own beauty salon. Despite feeling defeated, I pleaded for a job and was immediately hired. "Kristen, you were always skilled and had a great sense of style." "You're very welcome here." Feeling needed by someone made me incredibly happy. It was as if I was treated as a person after a long time. Living with Terrence and his family, I realized that no one took the initiative to do any housework. Reluctantly, I ended up doing all the household chores. I managed everyone's laundry, room cleaning, taking out the trash, cooking, and shopping in between working at the beauty salon. Moreover, no one thanked me. They must have taken it for granted. One day, while cleaning the room, I found a postcard marked "Dunning Notice" in the trash. Curious, I picked it up and discovered it was about the luxury apartment's mortgage payments being overdue. That night, I boldly showed the postcard to Terrence and the others. "Hey, about this postcard, what's happening with the mortgage payments?" "About that." Terrence hesitated, and Dylan began to speak in his place. Actually, my father back home fell ill. We needed money for his treatment. Dylan looked down, feigning tears. I didn't want to worry you. How is your dad doing? I asked as calmly as I could. It seems his liver isn't doing well. We're worried it might be hepatitis. Alton turned to me. I could guess what he was going to say. Then it can't be helped. We have the money from selling the previous apartment, right? Give that to Dylan. My guess was correct. I must have been the only one to see Dylan's face twist into an eerie smile. No, I can't accept such money. It's okay. It was for our retirement, but we're living here now. We don't need it anymore. But this money is... I felt it was impossible, but I attempted to resist. Quiet, don't argue with me. You're just a woman who's bad at studying. I'm forever the woman who's bad at studying. While I was cleaning the room, the seldom used landline rang. I was the only one available, so I answered. The caller was from the finance company. They hadn't received the mortgage payment, and the loan agreement would be canceled if this continued. What's going on? We had given the money from selling the luxury apartment to Dylan, including the portion for the mortgage. While I was feeling down, pondering, Dylan came home. Dylan, the loan company called today. Dylan's face momentarily stiffened. Is that so? What did they say? Dylan quickly put on a smile and asked. They said they couldn't confirm the payment. If it continues, they're going to cancel the contract. I see. That's troublesome, isn't it? She responded with a cool detachment, as if it were someone else's problem. What do you plan to do? It can't be helped. The money from selling your luxury apartment was just a drop in the bucket. Dylan, with a serious expression and in a low voice, declared. I stepped back, overwhelmed by her assertiveness. Dylan's true nature had finally emerged. Returning to a sweet demeanor, Dylan said in a sugary voice. So, please put in more money. Otherwise, as the guarantor, you'll have to pay the whole amount. That was Dylan's aim all along. She intended to make us pay the entire mortgage for the luxury apartment. You can't possibly think that's okay. But if we don't, we'll have nowhere to live. I'm going to meet some friends now. With that, she turned on her heel and left the room swiftly. I was left clutching my head in despair. What should I do? Days passed without being able to tell anyone. During this time, Dylan's treatment towards me became harsher. This dish is too salty. Can't you make anything other than this country-style cooking? Is this what being uneducated amounts to? It's amazing Alton managed with you serving him all this time. He really is something, supporting such an incompetent wife. Silenced by Dylan's cruel true nature, I could do nothing but stay quiet. And so, I reluctantly transferred the demanded money to the loan company. I knew it wasn't a solution, but I felt helpless. When she learned the transfer was complete, she looked at me with a triumphant smile. It seemed nothing less than demonic to me. But I couldn't let things continue this way. It was clear that both my mental state and the household would collapse if things stayed the same. I tried talking to Alton, but he completely ignored me. During a meal, I decided to confront Dylan directly. Interrupting her story about the musical she recently went to see, I said, Hey, we need to start repaying the loan soon or it'll be canceled. This is the second dunning notice, and I've been the one paying each time. Alton looked at me with disappointment. Hey, it's being resolved for now, isn't it? Then it's fine. Alton seemed to be firmly on Dylan's side. But at this rate, I'll end up paying for everything. Getting all high and mighty over a mere $28,000. Alton looked at me with a mocking face. Parasitic old-timer, get out! Dylan, revealing her true colors, stood up and pointed towards the entrance. Understood. I left the house, hiding my joy. At the entrance, I couldn't help but do a fist pump. I should have done this much sooner. Looking back at the luxury apartment as I left, it seemed nothing more than a tall, gray prison to me. I spent the night at a hotel I had booked in advance. I informed my colleagues at the salon that I had safely left the luxury apartment. Kristen, that person was beneath you. I received a text saying, I had fallen asleep without realizing it and woke up the next morning. I wondered when was the last time I had slept so soundly. Checking my mobile phone, I saw countless missed calls and texts from Alton. Most of the texts were pleas for me to reconsider, but I ignored them and went to the salon. For some reason, everyone at the salon congratulated me. I lived in the hotel for a while, going to the salon and living a peaceful life. A week later, Alton called the salon. Please, don't contact me at work. Kristen, I'm truly sorry. Let's talk properly. Please come back home once. Knowing things couldn't end this way, I agreed to return the next day at noon and hung up. Now, the real confrontation begins. The next day, I returned to what looked to me like a prison of a luxury apartment. In the living room, Dylan was glaring with her arms crossed, alongside a dejected Terrence and an irritated Alton. I sat down and looked straight into Dylan's eyes to ask, Hey, is your dad really sick? At Dylan's surprised expression, Alton slammed his palm on the table. What an incredibly rude thing to say. I called Dylan's family home. They said the only thing wrong with Dylan's dad was farsightedness. Exactly, it was a lie, obviously. Alton, confused, had no idea what was happening. Dylan, what's this about? Did Terrence know? Terrence remained silent, looking down. But if we don't pay the mortgage, Alton and the rest will be in trouble. Even after revealing her true nature, Dylan tried to deceive Alton with sweet words. It's okay, I won't be troubled by it. I threw the divorce papers at Alton. I've signed my part. We're strangers now. Just fill in your part and submit it. You can dispose of my belongings in my room. There wasn't much to dispose of. I had already taken what I needed. Alton nearly fell off his chair in shock. Dylan was also gaping in surprise. Wait a minute, this is some kind of joke, right? I answered seriously. I wouldn't sign divorce papers as a joke. Please pay for the life insurance, the luxury apartment's maintenance fees, repair costs, and the mortgage repayments yourself from now on. Hold on, I can't work right now. There's no way I can pay. Alton was almost in tears. Isn't it fine? If someone with my low education and inability to study could pay, so can you. Alton was left speechless by the biting sarcasm. It's fine if you want to leave, but make sure to transfer the money. Why should I, the one leaving, have to pay? How could she make such a demand with any logic? I was astonished by Dylan's sheer greed. Why do you need so much money? Dylan looked taken aback. That's none of your business. You're having an affair, aren't you? And you're supporting that man. Dylan's face turned red. Then, the most shocked response came from Terrence. It's my fault. I was the one who cheated first. Terrence spoke up for the first time. That's right, he cheated. And then, we were sued for compensation. Paying it wiped out our savings. Dylan kicked Terrence's chair hard, causing him and the chair to tumble to the floor. Alton hurriedly helped him up. Terrence, why would you do such a thing? Because, Dad, you were cheating too. I was just following your example. Alton tried to silence Terrence in a panic. Wait, now's not the time for that conversation. I know all about it already. I stared at Adilyn. Adilyn was clutching her head and grinding her teeth. So, Terrence cheated, and you cheated too. That's no excuse. But it seems you weren't just squandering the money, you were sued for compensation too. That's why you tried to deceive us and take our money. Exactly, but it turned out to be less than expected. Adilyn spoke as if squeezing the words out. You thought the luxury apartment would bring in more money, didn't you? I regained my composure and calmly sat back down. Right. After settling the mortgage, we were left with $50,000, which wasn't nearly enough, and we were being pressured into court. It might be the first time I saw Adilyn looking so defeated. But that doesn't justify what you did. Shut up. Adilyn's response lacked its previous force. I'm a bit tired. I need some time alone. I headed to the bedroom. Sitting on the bed, I began to think about what to do next. I wondered if Adilyn might come to apologize, reflecting on her actions. Then, I heard her shrill laughter. I opened the door and stood at the entrance to the living room. Exactly! When you think about it, even someone with such low education can earn money. So, if we, who are more capable, put our minds to it, we can earn much more. That person can only survive here, so we should just deceive them cleverly and siphon off their money. Right, if they can do it, we can probably do it better. Overhearing their conversation made me feel dizzy. It seems they were more twisted in their thinking than I had imagined. Such foolishness is beyond comprehension. Are their heads filled with fantasy? I couldn't stand it any longer and returned to the living room. What's with that scary face? Were you eavesdropping? People with low education really do that sort of thing without guilt. How scary. She looked down on me with a cool expression. I'll be clear, since it's come to this, running a personal business isn't easy. There's no such thing as making money effortlessly. This was a realization I came to through my own hard work. You, of low education, dare to lecture us? No, I thought it best you know, since you seem to think it's easy. Do they have any idea how hard I worked to gain clients' trust? Don't mock us. Me, Adilyn, and Terrence, we all graduated from top universities. Don't lump us together with you. Yes, of course. But being intelligent and being successful in business are different matters. My belief is that intelligence alone is bound to fail. Sometimes, those who are not as sharp might have better interpersonal skills. I can't believe such an uneducated, uncultured, useless person. Leave this house immediately. I don't want to see your face again. Adilyn said it all in one breath, gasping for air. That's perfectly fine. Thank you. I felt liberated, as if freed from something. Thank you. Don't joke. Just get out. Adilyn shouted in a tone that sounded like sore losing. Alton, confused, tried to calm the situation. I've paid enough already. I won't pay anymore, and I'm leaving. This is so irritating. Fine, you don't have to leave. Let's just keep things as they were. You have nowhere to go, right? Did Adilyn truly believe I couldn't survive without this house? I refuse. I have no attachment to this house anymore. It's been a learning experience. It seemed Adilyn finally realized I was serious about leaving. Hey, are you serious? You're really leaving? Yes. Excuse me. Thank you for everything up to now. I headed towards the entrance with my bag packed. Alton followed me to the door, pulling on my sleeve. I shook him off, and he stumbled backward. His face was a mess of tears and snot. "Kristen, I'll be waiting." For a moment, the image of Alton with his high school perm crossed my mind, but I quickly dismissed it. No need to wait. Thank you for everything. Goodbye. Stepping out of the luxury apartment, the sky was wide and blue. Looking back at the apartment, it still looked to me like a tall, gray prison. Ah, I've finally been released. I stretched and took a step forward. 3 months later. "Boss, there's a call for you from someone named Alton." The term boss still felt unfamiliar. I had left the salon on good terms due to an increase in private requests and started a small company for hair and makeup styling. We only have 3 people here, so being called boss still makes me blush. While talking to my employee, I answered the phone. "Yes? Kristen, please help me." I didn't recognize who it was at first. That's how much I had forgotten him. "The monthly bills are enormous, and the house is a mess. Please, can't you come back?" I let out a sigh unintentionally. "That's none of my concern. Sort it out yourself." I hung up without giving him a chance to respond. I wondered how Alton got this phone number. "From now on, don't put through any calls from him, please." When I left the office to go home, Alton was waiting for me. His hair was disheveled, and his face was covered with an unkempt beard. Upon seeing me, Alton fell to his knees before me. "I'm sorry. I really did something terrible. Please forgive me." I stood with my hands on my hips, looking down at Alton. I felt neither pity nor the urge to help. I had no attachments left. "I can't keep up with the luxury apartment's mortgage, repair fees, and living expenses every month." Alton muttered weakly. "Maybe you should sell the house." Alton didn't respond to that, but instead said, "How do you earn so much, Kristen? Teach me." "It's just about diligently studying and trying to make your clients happy. That's all there is to it." Alton seemed unwilling to believe it. "There must be more. There must be an easy way to make money." I felt a sense of pity for Alton, who still thought this way even now. "You're highly educated, right? You should come up with a better idea using your own brain." Alton, while rejecting the idea, begged, "Don't say that, please. Could you at least lend me money for 1 month?" I regretted feeling any pity for him. There was no point in saying anything more. "Sort it out yourself. And you haven't submitted the divorce papers yet, have you?" "I'll have to consult a lawyer then." Alton's face turned pale. "Does that mean you're going for divorce mediation? If I had money for a lawyer, I'd have used it to make payments." "Well, if you don't submit them, I'll have to take the necessary steps." "But..." "Well, from now on, we're strangers. Goodbye." Shortly after, Alton reluctantly submitted the divorce papers, and we were officially divorced. Not long after, I heard that Dylan, Terrence, and Alton had to leave the luxury apartment. Due to continued defaults on payments, the loan contract was canceled, and the house was seized. A neighbor who visited the salon told me about it. Moreover, when the house was seized, they refused to leave and caused such a commotion that it turned into a police matter. Additionally, the personal business Alton had invested his severance pay into didn't succeed, not only squandering the money but also accruing a significant amount of debt. This too was a tale I heard from a client from my salon days. It likely resulted from overconfidence in their abilities without proper research or study. Dylan and Terrence are now juggling part-time jobs while living in an old apartment. Given the unresolved compensation for their affairs, their lives must be quite challenging. Alton has developed diabetes from years of poor lifestyle choices and now lives in and out of the hospital. a fact that came to light when the hospital contacted me for identification purposes. Of course, I haven't visited him. Post-divorce, my life took a turn for the better when an actress, who used to say I was her favorite, became famous and asked me to be her personal hair and makeup artist. I worked as a hair and makeup artist alongside my salon work for a while, but started my company as business picked up. The company is doing well, and I'm considering hiring more staff. Naturally, I'm focusing on the person's character rather than their educational background for recruitment. As seen from the lives around me, educational background isn't everything. Judging someone solely by their education can lead to shallow relationships and a miserable life spent striving for unnecessary superiority. Education is not the sole measure of ability. I plan to continue valuing people for who they are, not just their academic achievements.